go live on here. Oops. Okay. We're going to have our little chat before I go and work out. And one thing that I wanted to really talk on, the subject that has been going through my head, because it's something that I also can relate to so much. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much you can ruminate on a subject, right? Like, I think we tell ourselves the more we think about it, then we're going to find the answer or something's going to happen. Like that idea of like, the more I think about it, that illusion that something's getting done. And a lot of times I find that so common when it comes to someone's fitness goals. And when they're thinking about, oh, I want to lose weight. I want to gain muscle. I just want it. I want it. And they just like, the more I think about it, something's going to happen, and I think you need to have that honest conversation with yourself. Do you do that? Do you just think about it all the time and think about, I want this. I'm just going to think about it some more, and I think I find this pattern with people because then when I have a serious conversation, with someone that does want to up their, fitness goals or whatever it is that they want, when you start getting specific, it like scares them, right? Because it just feels too real now. You start getting like, okay, well, when did you say you wanted to get this done? Like, has it been something like, are you going to the gym? Like, are you working out? What days are you going to the gym? What are you doing? What does your nutrition look like? Just asking honest questions. And then they start being like, well, and then excuses happen. And so I bring this up because I just don't want you to stay stuck. I think a lot of things that we want is also stopping us from the illusion that something is happening by us thinking about it. If we think about it so much, something's going to happen, right? Like some answers. But taking away experiences, and that's why I tell you guys, experiencing something is going to give you more clarity and more answers than you just thinking about it, right? Like you can read a book and it can like be a self-help book, but if you don't do something, you're not going to really learn anything. So that's why I just bring it up in fitness, because that is something I'm like always, I guess, my little realm of talks I have with people. Also even social media, right? Like if someone wants to start doing YouTube and stuff, and then you talk to them, okay, well, are you going to use your phone? What day you're going to record? Like you start getting really specific with it, then they start getting scared. They're like, wait a second, this feels too real. But I'm telling you this because I don't want you to stay stuck. I don't want you to stay stuck with these goals that you have and then nothing ever happening. And then that's another approach that I think you need to have with yourself is the avoidance. I feel like everyone gets these so confused of when you avoid things, right? Like for instance, again, if you're wanting to lose weight, you're just like, okay, I'm going to avoid this food. I'm going to avoid it. And, I'm just going to start losing weight because I know this is what, a bag of chips every night. I always have a bag of chips. So I'm just going to avoid it. And people don't realize when you approach it in a negative aspect of avoidance, when you avoid something, that's actually where you're going to mess up right there. You can avoid it for maybe a few days, a few weeks, but having that negative approach is not sustainable. And that's where, having the right systems in place of, okay, well, this is the approach we're going to have because we're not avoiding something. We're actually going to replace it with the habits that you should be doing, right? Not just avoiding those bag of chips, because then it's like, well, what's that really going to do, right? Let me avoid all these things. And they even did a study with people that are addicted to stuff, like addicted to drugs or alcohol and all that stuff. And like they talk about avoidance as how you're not going to be able to sustain that. Like, and that's how a lot of people approach when they're dieting, right? Like, I'm going to avoid this. And then they expect something to happen. And then they're just like, oh, it just didn't work out for me. And then they just give up. Like, if you're finding yourself having these goals and it's not sustainable, then I think you need to have those real conversations with yourself. And that's all I bring, is just for you to have that honest conversation with yourself, because it does suck that people stay in that for so long. Like literally years, people will stay in that thought process. Because that's another thing. When I talk to people that want to lose weight and get more serious, I ask them, well, like, is it a priority in your life right now? And they're just like, you know what? I don't know. Like, and it's something they have to think about, right? And I realized, because I work with a lot of brides, I realized that a lot of them, they have to be realistic. They're like, no, it is a priority. I'm literally going to get married this year. Like, it is a priority. And they have those honest conversations, right? Because I think the illusion of we have all the time in the world, that it's okay if I push it off. It's okay that I'll just do it, next year, 2 years from now, after this, and then when you start seeing that, like, you guys are realizing that the time, like, that's all an illusion. If you start being specific, then you're going to get more done. So start being specific with what's important to you. And that's the funny part too. I ask them, is this something that you think about every day? Like, do you think about it every day? About wanting to get in shape? And they're like, yeah, it is. I think about it every day. But yet it is not important to them. And I'm like, you have to hear me. And I'm like, if you think about this every day and you're telling yourself it's not important, like, who are you trying to convince? Because I'm not convinced. So it's just something I can relate to when it like went down to it, when I wanted to start YouTube, right? I wanted to do it so bad, but I was like, oh, like, just think about it some more. I'll just think about it. But nothing happened. And that's why I'm telling you, you can only think about something for so long. And that was the other thing, is the thing that holds people back isn't having the right systems in place. It honestly is their belief that it's possible for them. And I get that, because that's exactly how I saw it for making YouTube videos. I was scared because I didn't believe it was going to work for me. I was like, it works for everybody else, but it's not going to work for me. And that scared me. And that fear is what stopped me from even trying. So that's why it like hurts me when I talk to people that want to start their fitness journey and they want these things, but what's stopping them is not how much they want it. Like, you can want something so bad, and I understand that. Like, I know you want it, but the thing that's holding you is your belief that you can do it. That's what's holding you. And I think that's the sad part. So if you're also a coach and you're talking to people, and it's so hard because you realize that, you see that pattern, that it's not that they're not capable. They're very capable. All of us are capable, but it's the belief that will hold them back. And it is so hard because I cannot convince someone, that is something they have to realize themselves and believe in themselves. And there come certain points that they start realizing, like, wow, like, it was me that was holding me back. Like, I had all the answers right in front of me, but I just didn't feel like I can do it. And it is going to be messy when you first try something. When I first was making YouTube videos, I was so intimidated. Like, I would start shaking in front of the camera, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this anymore. Let me just put the camera down. I don't want to do this. And I kept telling myself, but what? You're going to push it off even more? Are you suddenly not going to be scared? Like, you having to put yourself in those uncomfortable situations is how you grow. It's how you learn what really is holding you back. Because I built this story in my head that, I just can't. Like, I can't record myself. I need all of, like I would come up with excuses, and it led to nothing. And I think that's why I share, like, when I started because I've been doing lifting and working out for over a decade now. So I think a lot of people always say, like, oh, well, it's easy for you to say, you've been doing this for so long, like, you don't understand. I'm like, well, no, I think we all have that with something that's been haunting us, that there's always that one thing that we have in our life that we really want. And we all can relate to this. It doesn't have to just be with fitness. It can be with something that you really want, and you talk yourself out of it. You tell yourself that you're not capable, this story, and you want to validate that story so much that when someone does give you a solution, you're just like, no. That can't be it. Because then all this thinking I was doing for years, that was like an illusion. Like, that was worthless. Like, no, I don't want to believe that. No. There's a reason why I never did it. There's a reason, and I'm going to stick to that reason. And realizing, like, the only person that's hurting is themselves. They're only hurting themselves. I think that they think, oh, well, no, because I don't have an ego. Like, no, it's not my ego that's holding me back. And a lot of times, you guys, it's your ego that's holding you back because you don't want to mess up. You don't want to embarrass yourself. And you're also scared because you're scared if it doesn't work. And that's scary because you'd rather live in limbo. And I say this because I was there, right? I'd rather live in limbo. I'd rather live in, like, oh yeah, I want to do YouTube. I mean, it might work, it might, but I'm scared that it won't, and I don't want to embarrass myself. And I stayed in limbo for so long that it was like eating me up, because I also started to realize, like, my husband started to have these honest conversations with me, and he was like, okay, let's get specific, right? Like, let's get specific here. And it scared me. I was like, whoa. You're making it too specific now. Like, it's feeling too real. And that's why I tell you guys, like, when people start getting specific, when you start getting specific with what you want, it is going to feel intense. It's going to feel a little scary because it's a level that you haven't gone to yet. And you will start to talk yourself out of it. And because I did, like, he would be like, well, okay, well, have you made a video? When did you make a video? And I was just like, yeah, I guess I haven't made a video. And he's like, well, okay, well, how about tomorrow? Like, start doing that. And I was like, okay, I'll record myself tomorrow. Okay, I guess I'll do that. And it was scary. It was scary to, like, set a date. And that's why, like, I've noticed, because I've worked with a lot of brides, and when there is a date set in place, you do get something done, because you can't play in the illusion anymore of all this time you have, right? Because we tell ourselves, I have all this time. I'll do it next month. I'll do it next year. But then you realize, oh, wait a second. Life and life events are going to happen with or without me. So I need to start realizing, do I want to take a hold of my life, start, living my life, or letting it control me? Because that's another thing that takes people out and actually doesn't let them enjoy life, because they are trying to manage their life. They're trying to, like, let me like catch up, like, but they're not living their life. They're just trying to manage it. And I think that's the sad part too, is, like, when I talk to people, I'm like, you do know, like, when you take yourself seriously, especially when it comes to your health and fitness, like, that's going to apply to so many different things in your life that you don't see yet, right? That's the thing. You will have the capacity to realize, like, wow, this actually goes to so many other aspects of my life that I didn't even realize. Like, the patterns of you having, like, okay, yeah, this new thing I wanted to do, it's scary because, yeah, I guess a part of me feels like I don't believe in myself. Yes, and that is scary. And then you realize that pattern. You're like, because that was how I felt when I started lifting weights. Like, I was I was scared. I didn't believe that I could do it. I would see everybody else do it, and I didn't believe I could. But I proved to myself that, yeah, it is going to be a little scary, and that's okay. And I think that's the weird part too, is like we tell ourselves that we're not supposed to be uncomfortable and scared about something new. Like, it's new. Of course, it's going to feel a little weird and different. And so that's another thing too, is just like normalizing that, normalizing something new. You don't know what the outcome is, because that's the thing that your brain tells you, oh, you don't know the outcome. It's dangerous. Like you don't know what the result is. So it's dangerous. And so you step away and you're just like, okay, yeah, that seems dangerous. I don't know what's going to happen to me. So we're not going to try it. So, these are just all patterns that you're going to realize when you start stepping into it, when you start physically doing these things. And that's why I tell people, please do not push these things off. Please value your time. Value it, because no one else is going to value your time but you. Okay? And only you can believe in yourself for it to actually push forward. Because my husband believed in me so much for so long, but nothing happened, right? Because we realize that someone can believe in you so much until you start taking yourself seriously and believing in yourself. That's when everything changes. That's when you start actually doing the work, right? But it is important. So hear me out. It is important to have support, right? So that was the thing. My husband believed in me, and that was amazing, but I needed to believe in myself. But when I did start to believe in myself, then his support was everything. It helped so much, because life is hard. Like you don't realize, oh yeah, we overcame what was mentally holding us back, but there's going to be more obstacles out there. So that's why it is important to have support. And that's why too, that's why I love what I do. I love that I'm a coach and I can help support other people, because when the time is right, when they start believing in themselves, then I'm there to support them. I'm there to give them all the systems of, okay, this is what we're going to do, X, Y, and Z, and not avoid things, right? Because that's what people do. They're like avoiding, and they think something's going to happen. And maybe if they think about it some more, something else is going to happen, but it's all an illusion, until enough time goes by that they're tired of it. They're tired of this illusion of like, oh yeah, if I thought about it some more, something was going to happen, and realizing physically nothing's going on. So I come here to say, do not get stuck in that. Do not get stuck in any of that. And if any of this resonates with you, please put something into action, physical action, to give you evidence and lead you in the right direction. So that was my whole rant. I am on Twitch and YouTube live right now. So let me see your guys' comments. I need to get that out there before I lost my train of thought. But let's see. I'm going to pull it up so I can chat with you guys. But yeah, that is just something that has been on my mind. And if I don't talk about it, it'll go there's always different things that I always want to talk about. So I'm taking advantage of okay, what's on my mind today, and actually just talking on it instead of just one day I'll talk about it, because I think also that's what I'm telling you guys. It applies for so many things. It's not just oh, this is just with fitness. No, it applies for a lot of things that you want in your life, and you'll see the patterns, right? You'll see the patterns of you putting something off. Because you're just yeah, I keep saying this, but physically, am I doing anything about it? And then you realize that you're not. And so it'll just continually happen. And that's why a lot of people don't realize when you start being honest with one aspect of your life, how that's just going to help with everything else. Okay. Hey guys. Preach. Thanks, guys. Well, I'm serious though. Please, I hope you guys got something out of it, because please know that was something I struggled with for years. And I was oh, that's what I was doing. I was ruminating. I was just sitting in it. I was just thinking about it. I didn't know I was doing that, and that's why I'm telling you, do not do that for so long. Like, it's good to acknowledge things, but then what are you doing? Like, what are you physically doing about it? Also, I talk like really loud, so I think that's why I have the mic over here. Hopefully, it's a good distance that you guys can hear. Hey, Enigma, that was a great message. I see some public speaking in your future. You're really good at it. See, that is just so funny to me because I know I've mentioned it a bit to, Twitch and stuff, but, I hated speaking. I couldn't say, like, I had a speech impediment, like I couldn't say my R's. So it just caused me not want to speak at all, like out loud, because people would make fun of me. They would, it literally was traumatizing for me to speak. And a lot of times I would just stay quiet because I didn't want to experience it, because of what happened was like, oh yeah, I got a negative reinforcement. And so whenever that happens with anything, you kind of just want to stay away from it because there's no positive reinforcement. It's just like, oh, like I'm just going to be made fun of. I don't want to speak. And that is something I had to really overcome because there were so many things I wanted to share. And that's why I tell you guys, like, we can hope someone will share these things, right? Like, oh, like I'm sure someone else is thinking this. I'm sure someone else will say it, but no one's going to say what is on your mind but you. And so it is up to you and your duty to figure out, okay, well, what can I do to get better then at speaking? It is up to you to do that, right? Like, and I think that's when you start taking responsibility. And that's why I really feel like me putting myself in this, scenario of like working out and everything, it really has helped in every aspect of my life, because it is an aspect of you doing something that you can continuously get better at. It is a skill that you go in the gym. You don't just like stay stagnant. You're also getting better. Either it be with your form, either you are getting stronger, or, it's just having that progress. And you need that in life. You need to have some progress in life, like mentally, right? Like you actually do, like your mental aspect of it. You thrive off of that. Your mind actually loves that. Like it loves that. So when you do find yourself kind of feeling like in a negative headspace, it's because your brain's like, well, nothing's going on. Like I thrive off of progression, and there's no progression in our life. So it is actually like a signal to you, like, yeah, you're sad because something like this shouldn't stay. Like you shouldn't be here wherever you're, just that stagnant area. Like your brain is actually giving you a signal. Like your emotions are giving you some rapport of like where you're at, and it doesn't want you to stay there, and it's funny when you say that out loud, right? Like, oh, my mind is like making me sad. Yeah, it's probably because it doesn't want me to stay there. So what aspect in my life can I improve and start progressing in? And that's why like people that are in the fitness realm, they love it because they're like, yeah, like this progression is amazing. Like I love it. I love to be reminded that my body doesn't just stay where it's at. And that goes also for your mind, right? Like we think like, oh, this is it. Like, okay, like there's no more for me to learn. Like, that's why it's always good to be open-minded. There's so much for you to learn, so much. Like even the top, speakers and like the smartest people you will meet, they will always have an open mind because they know that they don't know everything, right? Because I think that's the fun part too. When you start connecting with other people, it's fun to see everyone's perspective on things. And that is something that is unlimited, right? Someone's perspective is unlimited. You can have someone explain something, but then someone else will say the same topic, but explain it so differently. And sometimes that's why it'll click for other people. And that's why I think that's the beauty of when people find people they connect with on social media, because they're just like, yes, they're probably pointing out the same problems, the same, subject, but it clicks for them. And that's why it's nice when you just find people that you relate with and that it just makes more sense. So that's another reason too, when people tell me like, oh, like, I don't know, I want to start a social media, but I feel like it's all saturated. Everything's out there. Everyone already talks about it. But I'm like, but no one's heard it from you. No one's seen it from your perspective. No one knows your story. That in itself is unique. And I think that's the sad part, is like, we forget, like, everyone, like, you as a person is so unique. There is no one else like you. So no one else like you. And for you to feel like that isn't already your superpower of what's making you unique, like, you need to like really sit with that. And that's the other thing too. No one can take that away from you, like who you are and the person that you're becoming. So with that too, are you becoming a person that you're proud of? And I say that because that is something that's also going to make you realize, are you putting in the work for yourself? And that is going to be continuous. That isn't just stop. It doesn't just stop after you do one thing and you're just like, oh yeah, that's it for me. And so that's why I tell you guys, recognize the patterns. And if you have that in your life, that's why it is good to always try to gain more knowledge mentally, and then also challenge yourself physically. It doesn't have to just be with weightlifting. Anything that is making you progress, you know, it can be a sport, anything is good for you. Your mind loves that. It thrives off of that. And your body is responding in that way too. Your body will show you that it has more to offer. It has more to give you. Don't be mean to it and be like, oh, this is the best my body can do. Are you serious? Like, then why is it there's so many people out there accomplishing so much and proving things that they didn't even think their bodies were capable of? That's where you have to be honest. Like, am I giving myself a fair shot? Because a lot of times we want these things, right? But we're not doing anything about it. So do something about it. Don't just talk about it, right? Don't ruminate in it. Do something about it. Hey, Vin. What's so funny? I'm just laughing. Hey, but that's another thing too. It is actually amazing how we forget being in a positive, happy, like headspace is also a skill. Like, people think that is not, like, it is. It is. If you are, and okay, let me back it up for it to just make more sense. I always go back to giving an example with personally what I've experienced, because it's just easier to explain because I literally lived through it. So I am a very bubbly, like, just silly, goofy person. And that is like my default. Okay. So that's my default. There's a lot of people that are like that too. And the way you go through life, it can either you realize it's going to suppress that side of you, like it did for me. A lot of people actually used to make fun of me for that. They used to tell me that I was fake because of how happy I always was. Like, I love being happy. I love being in that headspace, you know, like, to me, I'm like, so, okay, if you're to give me two options, be happy and bubbly, or just be quiet and, like, I don't know, like sad, mad. I don't know. Like, I mean, the opposite of happy, I guess. Then I'm going to be on this side. I'm like, to me, that makes absolute sense, right? So a lot of times I realized that these people that would tell me that, they were projecting, because I never knew what that was. I was like, projecting? What? So I'd be like, oh yeah, it's because they're like upset. So they don't understand why I'm so happy, and understanding that I choose to be in that headspace because I love just living my day to day like that, you know, that, and then that's another thing too, is like, this is your life. No one's up here. No one's in there, but you, right? Like, no one's in that thought process or your perspective. Only you are. So with that headspace, it's up to you to realize, what do you focus on? What do you focus on? And do you like living up there? You know, I personally want to enjoy my own mind. So of course, I want to focus on things that I enjoy. I want to focus on things that make me smile, that make me laugh, even if it doesn't make sense to someone else. And that's okay. You know, I will laugh about the silliest things that probably make no sense to someone. But I enjoy it. I love it. So with me saying that, I I didn't know about projection. I did have a lot of people that would project and make me feel bad about being happy. And it was so weird because I'm like, okay, so I guess with me getting older, I have to be more serious. Like, what is this? I don't know. And I'm just like, I'm just being me, And so realizing that that is a skill, because the more I sat with me just being like serious and quiet, it actually was harder for me to get in the happy, goofy mindset. Like it actually was. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that used to be my default. Now it's harder to like think that way. And it made me so sad. And that's why, if anything, like it made me sad and upset, because I'm just like, I don't like that. Like I want to get back to that. And so it took me some time, but that is also a skill that you have to get used to. It's like a habit. Like you have to intentionally recognize it. That's why those people that are in that silly, goofy mindset, I'm like, please stay in it. Do not let people make you feel some type of way that is not a good headspace to be in. Because some people think it's performative, but not realizing like, okay, well, let's like I say with all these things, right? Let's get specific then. If I am not in a goofy, silly headspace, what headspace are you kind of saying that we should be in, right? Then if I'm not in a silly, goofy, then I guess I should be quiet and serious. Does that sound fun to you? I'm like, doesn't sound fun to me. So that's the thing too, is like some people won't understand. That's okay. They don't, only you live in your head, and you should enjoy that. It should be your peace and your place of like comfort. So I say that because a lot of times what people share is things that they've gone through. Because it's like, why is it that that's something important to me? Is because I've gone through that. And that's why we share things that we don't want other people to have to go through, because they probably don't realize it. When you're going through something, you don't realize it in the moment until afterwards. And you're just like, oh, that makes total sense. That is exactly what happened, and I didn't realize it. So, and that's the thing. Someone can tell you something, but sometimes the way that something's really going to stick is when you physically go through it, sadly. Right? Like someone can tell someone advice or like, don't do this, don't do that. But sometimes they have to learn through actually doing it. Sadly. But if you can, maybe you're like in between, right? And maybe if anything, I'm just validating those thoughts you've been having of, oh yeah, I have been thinking about that. And this just helps validate that. I think that's actually the place where it's easier to digest this, instead of like, oh, like, I think I know what she's talking about. And if you don't, it's probably because you've never experienced it. And that's fine. Like we've all realized, right? We navigate the world very differently. Like there can be two people that experience the same thing, but they can have totally different perspectives on it. And I think that is actually really interesting to acknowledge, because that's exactly how we all go through life, right? Like we can all have different things that we see, but doesn't mean that we're going to see it the same. All of us can go through maybe similar things, but our perspective on it and what we focus on is what's going to make it the whole, so different. Hello, Elijah. Wait. Oh, wait. Were you laughing because it was resonating with you? Is that what you're saying? Okay, that's funny. Okay, how long have we been yapping? Because I will probably wrap it up. I'm going to go and work out. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. I do hope that, that it resonates. Like, and that's the thing too, is like, if it resonates with one person, that makes me happy, because I love having these conversations, because it really does help validate things that maybe I was thinking about, or maybe a perspective I never saw it. And now I'm just like, okay, wow, this actually makes so much more sense. So I'm glad. You should do TED Talks. Okay. I really appreciate you guys, and thank you for always just joining in. I know I do random lives, so please turn on the notification, because I do a lot of random lives, but I think that's the thing I've been enjoying is like, if something's on my mind, I want to speak on it, because that's when you're more passionate, because it's just so, you know, I don't know, just more apparent to you and in your thoughts. But I also enjoy doing lives because I do really like connecting with you guys. It just feels more real. It just feels like real time. I love that aspect. So, you know, that's those little things I enjoy, and I'm going to go on with that, with things that I enjoy. So I will see you guys, probably later this week. You've noticed that I've been doing a lot of lives more often. So I will speak with you guys later, and hope you guys have a great day. Yeah.